keep your eye, and I hate saying this stuff
because I Jim Cantori on here.
I hate this time of year. There's a 70% chance of cyclonic development on a tropical low in the southeastern Caribbean Ocean that over the weekend could develop, and without wind shear, we'll be heading straight to Florida on Tuesday and Wednesday. And guess who's leaving Florida on Wednesday? The Florida Gators and me. And so if you're flying to Utah on Wednesday, you've got to keep your eye on this because you may have to make adjustments. That's all I'm saying.
Make adjustments.
Just make adjustments. And that can
you got to make adjustments at halftime, JC. You got to make adjustments. You have plenty of time to make adjustments, so get on it.
But we have to wait till after the weekend to see if this system is going to develop. If it does develop,
here's the thing. If it does come through, I believe you're going to be okay on Wednesday. It'll probably just be drizzling. They do fly and drizzle. We got some text here on the Titan MR text line. Andy says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law. Shane and JC, were y'all impressed that Joanne Carner shot an 80 at age 84 at the Women's U.S. Senior Open?
No, I didn't know that.
I knew nothing about that.
Didn't know anything about that, but that's great. Joanne Carner. Yeah, I remember that name. I do. That's impressive. Shoot your age.
Yeah. Garrett G. Lee says, hey, Shane, is there any way you can take calls during the season one day a week for 30 minutes on your show? Not on this podcast, but I will be on Mondays from 12 to 2 with Steve Russell on his show. Every Monday, we'll take all your calls you want. Alan says 6 for 17 is not good. Was he running for his life? I don't know. I know the Steelers didn't. No, they didn't play the Steelers. Who did they play? I know the Eagles had all their third stringers playing that entire game. So
yeah, well, he had five for 38.
I've told y'all what's going to happen.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he's going to make plays, but he's not going to be consistent, and that will never change. It's gone on for the last 7 years.
Yeah. Well, Gardner Minshew, in case you were keeping up with the
He's
Colts,
a good player.
was 9 of 11 for 102 yards, 1 touchdown, rating of 135.6. He might end up being the guy they actually play. Now, Richardson's been named the starter, but everything is fluid, as they say in the NFL. They play the Jacksonville Jaguars first game of the season.
Ooh.
And I mean, that you can find an easier team to open with. You can also find maybe a harder team to open with, but that's a good team to open with. You're going to open with the Jags at home. Pressure's going to be on. He's going to be nervous. Let's just hope and see what he does. That's all the Colts can do at this point, I think. I mean, he's playing preseason games. We'll see. They say he had some nice throws, but then he also had some erratic.
Well, is that not exactly what you saw last year?
I wouldn't call that the model of consistency, but
and there's nothing against it. It's just there will never be consistency. So, John says, Shane, I hear you talk about the young receivers. Could you comment on how Coach Spurrier and Coach Dixon taught the receivers? I mean, everybody has the same drills. Nobody has any different drills. I really think Trey Wilson, Eugene Wilson III, he goes by Trey because of the third. He's changed his number to number 3. So he will not be wearing number 21. He will be wearing number 3, which is perfect because you're going to have the 3 little lines on the back of your jersey and you're number 3. I think he's going to be a hell of a player. I think he's going to be as good as we've had here in a long time.
That would be nice. Somebody to make something exciting happen. It'd be great. I'm just looking for somebody to be a playmaker. Just be a playmaker.
They're going to have some playmakers for sure.
I want playmakers.
Andrew on YouTube says, happy Friday, QB. I hope all my blue-collar boys have a good weekend. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. We're going to do our Peachland Dental picks here shortly, but we got more text on the Titan MR text line. This is from Dan. He says, hi, Shane. I'm here sitting watching the Colts versus the Eagles preseason. I just had a hard time agreeing with their decision to start Richardson for the year. Minshew is lighting it up. Let Minshew take the reins for the season. Let Richardson develop. Look at the stats. No brainer. Well, again, the Eagles played their third and fourth. I don't even think they played their backups. So Gardner played against the same kind of guy. Look, Gardner's a better quarterback. He could throw the football. He came out of he threw for 1,000,000 yards in Mississippi. Ended up playing a bunch of different schools. Ended up at Washington State in a pass-happy offense. He is a really good player. He's just not the prototypical size and all that stuff. but he's smart, he's accurate, anticipates all the things I talk about on this
Well,
program
they
that you have
brought.
to do
I
in that
mean,
league.
that coach brought him from Philadelphia. I mean, he
Right.
wanted him on the roster. He said, "Look,
Yeah.
I don't need to go looking for a quarterback. I have one here in Philadelphia. Come with me." And so that's what the kid did. He also
Yeah.
played for East Carolina. I think he was everywhere. He was Washington
Yeah.
State. Yeah.
But the thing is, he's smart. He understands offenses, but he's a
Yeah.
flat out thrower of the football.
QB, did you watch any of that? Did you watch any of that golf yesterday and watch Scotty Scheffler?
No, I was gone all day yesterday, and good gracious, Colin Morikawa shot 9 under. I saw that.
Yeah. So
But
now everything's evened up. You know, they gave Scheffler a 2-stroke lead to start the day, and he made a triple bogey. How about this? 226-yard par 3 over water onto an island green. I mean, you ever play anything like that?
say that one more time. I was reading this text.
226-yard par 3 over water onto an island green.
Well, I don't know about that, but you know, at Adina,
that's what he did.
Adina has like a 240-yard par 3 off that cliff.
Yeah,
after the par 5 that's 747 yards.
Yep, I remember that one. But Chef hit it in the water left on. This was number 15, made triple. But you know, having said all that, he's only one back. You got Hovland. Geez, what a couple of weeks this guy's having. Bradley, Morikawa, Scheffler. We didn't really do any picks for this for some reason.
Well, you couldn't.
The other day because you can't because of the stroke advantages. I get that. But now everything's kind of evened up. Yeah, and everybody's kind of packed in there at the top because Scheffler didn't go away from the field.
Well, speaking of the Tour Championship, we'll go ahead and get to This Day in Sports, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. 2019 Tour Championship, same golf course, East Lake. Roy McIlroy, who withdrew yesterday because of a back issue. He won by 4 strokes over the X-Man, Xander Schauffele, and he won a cool 15 mil. Is it still 15 mil? Is it going up for this?
I mean, I don't know.
Anyway, that's brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union.
So the discussion also yesterday got down to the Ryder Cup selections that Zach Johnson's going to have to make. He's got to pick 6 players. I think 2 players you can expect to see on that team that didn't qualify will be Justin Thomas and Brooks Koepka. And I say that because they need firepower. And those 2 guys have it as good as anybody. Now, they can also make triple, double, whatever, like all of us, but they can make some shots. And Justin Thomas, I think, would be a great addition. Even though he hasn't played well, he would be great to team up with Jordan Spieth because of how
I don't think they're going to choose JT. I just have a feeling. I don't think that's going to happen. We got a text from one of our loyal listeners who refuses to give us his name, but he's from the 386 area code. He says, JC, what's the lowest score your team has ever shot in a 4-man scramble? Seems like it takes 26 under these days. Used to be around 18 under and you'd have a chance.
I mean, it's true. I don't know how you win.
I know one thing. I play in like 2 scrambles a year just because of whatever the event is for. But I promise you, I would rather come mow your yard and edge it or dig a ditch than play in a scramble.
Well, last time you played in a scramble, I heard you had a pretty good time there, QB. You were kind of, having a good time. Let's just call it that. But
I said I play in 2 a year because one is for a close friend of mine and their son is for their charity.
I don't care why. I'm just saying the last time you played one, they said you had a
well. They have to make it exciting for me because I can't think of anything worse than playing in a scramble.
Exciting to you means coolers on every hole. I think the good thing is that you're doing it for a charity there to our mysterious texture. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. You can buy mulligans and put money in the pot for everybody. But trying to win one of those things is literally it's just a waste of time. I mean, you can't really win those things.
But they're not fun. I don't know why they're not. How can they be fun?
They're fun for guys that aren't casual.
Yeah, I guess.
Part-time golfers.
YouTube, Mike B says, good morning, Shane. I saw a lot of you on the NFL channel documentary about Carson Palmer. Yeah, that's pretty old. That was when Carson's rookie year. That's when Marvin Lewis took me there because he knew he was going to draft Carson. Carson, most talented QB I ever played with. Nor says he is sick of Paul Finebaum interviewing Chris Doering. He asked Chris, will Billy Napier be fired with 3 wins and 9 losses this season? Claims Billy would be fired before the FSU summer.
What is the point of that hypothetical? Why are we talking about will they fire a coach if he goes 3-9?
Yeah. What if he goes 9-3? Do they give him an extension?
Look, what I'm trying to say is what is the point of that conversation? Why have just a ridiculous conversation that is based on fantasy land that basically we all know
it's no different than if Alabama if Alabama loses 4 games this year, does Nick Saban retire? I mean, why even talk about it?
It's not different because Gators aren't going 3-9. Everybody knows that.
Right.
And it's just like, why are you bringing that up? Could Alabama lose 4 games? Maybe. But I see this as just being too provocative to even pay attention to it. So I'm with the question to ask her. It's like, why? Just why? Why are we talking about that? How about we say this? What are the chances, Chris, of Florida going 9-4 or 3 since you've got Kentucky in 2nd place and Florida in 6th in the SEC? That would be a better question. That would be a better question, even though we already know what the answer is. It would still be a better question than the stupidity of a 3-9 season. Whatever. Look, I don't think he really cares for Florida. I don't know why Finebaum doesn't really care for Florida, but I don't think he really does. I just don't.
I just think it's so strange to me that Paul Finebaum has this love for Alabama when he's a damn Tennessee guy. And I know when you're in the media, you're not supposed to. Although he could be a homer if he wanted because he's not calling the game.
It's pretty simple, QB. The guy worked at Birmingham and
Alabama.
I know.
That's where he made all his money. I know. But it's still dumb.
Nick Saban made him famous. Without Nick Saban, without Alabama, without that rivalry, that show doesn't go anywhere. And he's
just think, JC, you could have been Paul Finebaum.
I could have. If I stayed in Alabama.
All right. So on the Titan More text,
I have more hair
from our buddy in the 941 area code. Can JC give us his best Jets chant, seeing as he is their biggest fan now? Let's go, Fireman Ed. Fireman Ed, let's go.
I'm a Jets fan.
Can you do it?
What's the question?
You know the Jets chant, right?
Fireman
Ed gets up on the
Jets.
J-E. You gotta spell it out, JC, with your arms.
J. Oh, with the arms. J-E-T-S. Jets.
Yeah, you're not a fan.
I like the Jets, but I'm jumping on the Jets bandwagon this year. I like what I see. I've gotten to like them because I watch that show on HBO Max. Okay, and plus they've got a couple of Alabama players on that team. C.J. Mosley, Quinnen Williams, 2 of the higher paid guys on defense, 2 leaders on that team. So especially Quinnen Williams, just tremendous defensive linemen. If you haven't noticed, defensive linemen are getting paid a lot of money to be defensive linemen. I think that's rubbed some running backs the wrong way for sure. But defensive linemen are getting a lot of money, man, except one of the best ones in the NFL, and his name is Chris Jones. And he played for Kansas City. He's an all-pro, and he hasn't gotten the contract he's looking for yet, so he's not in camp. But the Chiefs will likely sign him before they start the season. He's an all-pro. But defensive linemen, if you had noticed, they're getting paid, man. The good ones, anyway.
On the Titan More text line, Donnie and Stark says Finebaum had too big of a role in the Swamp Kings, in his opinion.
I mean, he sat there in a chair and he kind of commented on things that were obvious. It really wasn't that important of a role, but they threw him in there because he's the voice of the SEC, apparently. So if that's the case and he sits in a chair and tells you what you already know and what you already saw, I'm not sure what his role was. But that's what, that's part of the whole thing. He was one of those guys that knows a lot about what happened in the past because he's old. And so that's fine. You get that perspective from historical views. But 15 years ago is a pretty good long time ago. Even though it doesn't seem like 06 and 08 was that long ago, it was 15 years ago. So, I get why he was on there, but I could have done without him, or I could have had him. He didn't really change much of he didn't make the program any better or any worse, I don't think.
Yeah, Andy says here, I've tried to get Ahmad Black on, no response. He mentioned, I guess, on another show that Percy was involved early but dropped out. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Mitch on YouTube says he spoke with Chris Fowler at Gainesville Health and Fitness earlier in the week. He said his key to the matchup is Utah's D line against UF's O line.
Hmm.
He
Chris
agrees with
Fowler?
JC. He agree. Yeah, Chris Fowler and Herbstreit were both in town because they're calling the game.
And they agree with me?
He says he agrees with you that Mertz is not going to win the Heisman with a smiley face. I do think. I mean, they're physical up front. We're bigger than they are, and that doesn't mean anything. I think the key to the entire game is how the Gator front seven. That's what I'm going to harp on every freaking week because we have been so below average.
Yeah, soft.
And that's being nice. We have been so awful. Maybe that's a better word to use in the front seven for SEC defense. I mean, it's not even been group of five type defense for whatever reason. So the front seven to me is the biggest key to the entire season. I think they're better. They're not where they're going to be in a couple of years, but they're good. They're good enough to still win 8 games this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, you've got a QB to the bank quote that's been written down here. The bank deposit. It's about the front seven. It ain't about the QB. That's the bank deposit.
Quarterback's going to be fine. I'm not worried about the offense. Quarterback will be fine.
Yeah, that's your bank deposit. I've got that on paper.
That's right. I have zero concerns about that.
Okay. Okay. Well,
yeah, because
sure.
Joel Klatt has Graham Mertz as the 10th rated quarterback in the country. Did you know that?
I did see that. I said that. I saw that. I got Buffalo Bill fans telling me right now that I'm dead to them, even though I picked the Buffalo Bills to win the AFC.
They have like the hardest schedule I've ever seen in the National Football League.
I'm dead to the Bills fans. I do like the Jets. Look, man, I'm a Yankees fan. Love the Yankees. I'll go die as a Yankee fan. The Jets have always been my New York football team. And not that I care too much whether they win or lose, but if they win, I'm happy. I don't care about the Giants. I'm not. If I lived in New York, I would be Jets, Jets, Jets. I would not be a Giants fan. So give me the Jets. Okay, they played in Shea Stadium. True, that's where the Mets played. And the Giants played in Yankee Stadium. True, that's in the old days. Though I wasn't born then. So, or if I was, I didn't know that any better. But I'm a Jets guy. But I picked Buffalo to win the damn AFC, Bills fan. So, I mean, I can't be that dead to you. I picked the damn Bills. So, I don't know. I mean, the Chiefs, they've had the run. They've owned the Bills. But I picked the Bills this time. Maybe it's stupid. I could be wrong.
A couple of texts before we get to our Peachland Dental picks. This is from a 941 guy again. Shane, you should try to get Mr. College Football Tony Barnhart on your show during the Georgia week. We do. He comes on every week. So, you must be a new listener. Which we love new listeners. Russ in South Carolina says, back from Guam and ready for our Gators. Well, thanks. Hope you had a good trip, Russ. Wow. And we appreciate you listening.
That's the other side of the world. I tell you, I got the little picks I made at the Beau Rivage in Mississippi. I'm showing that next week. Next week, I'm going to give you all week 1's picks. And I agree with you. I would think this is week 1 since there's college football games, not whatever week 0 is, but that's whatever they call it. So we do have an SEC team playing this weekend, if you want to call them that. I don't, but some people do, and they are collecting money from the conference. So, and the conference owns their television rights, as if that's worth anything, and it's called Vanderbilt. So they're playing QB. You going to pick these?
We are. It's the Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. All right, JC, can you do me a favor? Do you have a nice notebook where you can actually do something and be reliable on this show?
I've been keeping the records for our picks for 15 years. Okay.
No, half the time you can't
find them. Yes, I have. Huh?
Okay. Well, let's go. Let's go. What's the first game?
What are you crazy? I've been doing this every year for us. All right. First game. Hawaii and Vandy. At Vandy, 17.5. They got construction going on in Nashville. There'll be about 1,600 fans there. It'll look like a high school game, but Hawaii's coming in. And Hawaii, we certainly are thinking about the folks in Maui and all of those folks on the islands suffering and dealing with the horrendous fires and just the problems that they're having. And I know there's a distraction there. But they're going to play football 5 time zones to the east, and they're coming to Vandy, and they're only getting 17.5. That's odd to me. Vandy scored 60 on them last year, and I'm taking Vandy somehow. I don't
Yeah,
like
I
it.
would. I mean, Hawaii should be better. Timmy Chang's their quarterback. They having trouble. They should be able to score more points
He's
for
their
whatever
coach.
reason.
He's also their coach.
That's exactly what I just said.
You say he was their quarterback.
And their coach. I mean, why else would I say Timmy Chang, who played 10 years ago or 15 years ago?
Well,
He's their head
Timmy
coach.
Chang
I would
is their
think they would be
quarterback.
better, but I think Vanderbilt just destroys Hawaii.
Okay.
Destroys them.
All right, here's the game. It's over in Ireland. So you're laying the 17.5 with me.
Yes.
Navy, it'll be interesting to see what kind of offense they're running since Niumatalolo is out. But they're playing, or not there anymore, coaching. But they're playing Notre Dame. And Notre Dame, I think, is just going to run the ball, and they're going to ease Sam Hartman into the system a little bit. They won't probably throw it as much as you might think, but they will throw it a little bit. But I think Navy and Notre Dame, that's a 21-point spread. Both teams have the gold helmets. And I'm thinking Navy is not covering in this game because I can't pick Navy on anything.
I'm going to take the midshipmen because I got a feeling. I got a feeling this game is going to be close. The weather's probably going to be crappy.
You think it's going to be close? You think it's going to be close?
Well, I don't know what Navy's going to do offensively, so I'm anxious to see. I don't know if they're going to run the triple option. So, and I love Sam Hartman. I'm just not sure he's going to be the same player at Notre Dame because of the system.
Yeah, I think they're going to run the ball a lot in this game and just plow them. San Jose at Southern California, 30.5 points. The game is in Los Angeles. San Jose State, can't tell you anything about them other than maybe they'll be in the Pac-12 one day, or whatever that conference is going to be called, because there's only 4 teams after this year in that conference. And Caleb Williams is going to start for Southern Cal. I bet you he doesn't play more than, I don't know, 2 quarters, maybe 3 at the most. I'm taking Southern Cal, laying 30.5. It's a 42-6 game or something like that. I don't know what defense.
So San Jose, I think, had a pretty good year last year.
They did. That's a lot of points. I'm probably going to lose that pick.
Well, I think SC is going to be so much better than they were last year because I do think Lincoln Riley has addressed a little. I don't know enough about their team, but he had to address their defense. I think Caleb Williams is going to throw for 1,000,000 yards and 1,000,000 touchdowns this year. I think the Trojans score over 60 in this game if they can. They're going to try.
Well, and Cliff Kingsbury, remember him. He's the coach, the former coach of the Texas Tech Red Raiders and the Arizona Cardinals, and, of course, the Texas A&M Aggies when Johnny Football played, which, by the way, I watched that documentary. Unbelievable. But, yeah, I'll take Southern Cal. They will score 60. I'd be surprised if they didn't. But the problem with them is going to be whether or not they can play better on defense. Closer to home here in, I guess, Ruston, Louisiana. Is that where La Tech is? Ruston? Florida International, which still somehow has a football program, is at La Tech. And I'm going to take La Tech laying 11 points in this game. I'm taking all these favorites.
I like La Tech, too. I think they're a better team. I think FIU stinks.
Yeah.
I know nothing about them. I just know they were terrible last year.
Texas El Paso is up in Jacksonville, Alabama. And El Paso is playing the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State, and it's a 1.5 point. The Miners are laying 1.5 at Jacksonville State, who's the home team. I'm going to take the Miners.
I will take the Gamecocks. Do you know who their JC for $1 million? Do you know who their coach is? Jacksonville State.
I don't offhand. Sorry, no.
Rich Rodriguez.
Okay. Wow, he's still in the business. Amazing.
Yeah.
UMass at New Mexico. New Mexico -7. Who knows? Give me New Mexico at home. Lobos.
I like New Mexico State. Jerry Keel. They went to a bowl game, I think, last year. He was that longtime coach. He started at Northern Illinois, went to Minnesota. He used to have the seizure, so had to get away from it. He's a very good football coach. Wait. New Mexico State. New Mexico. Take the Aggies.
Am I mistaken there? I said the Lobos. Is it the Aggies?
It's the Aggies. The Lobos would be the University of New Mexico.
That is correct, and you're right. And I will go with the Aggies as well. They play in Las Cruces, and they are laying 7. Okay. Final game, MAC team, Ohio at San Diego State. I'm taking San Diego State out west in San Diego on their home little stadium. This, too, could be one day a Pac-12 team. But I like San Diego State in this game. Laying 2.5.
Well, I'm just going to make it interesting for Dwayne Dixon, a former wide receiver coach, been in Ohio forever. They have a pretty good quarterback. I think he's back. I'll go with the Bobcats in the upset.
All right. And that would be our first slate of games for 2023. And then, of course, next week, Florida and Utah on Thursday, August 31st. And there are actually, on that day, the Gators play Utah. There is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games on that Thursday. And then there's a bunch of games on Friday. And then we get started on Saturday with the rest of the world. So we are in it. Its season has started. It's time to go. So, yeah.
Tight Amar text line from Billy. He says the Jags will kill the Colts.
Well, as a Jag season ticket holder, I'm all in on that text. Thank you, Billy. Let's go, Jags.
Where's that game at?
It's up in Indianapolis. Yeah. Jags home opener is the following week. I think it's September 17th against Patrick Mahomes and some team that wears red. So,
what do we have any idea, JC? Because I know you're following it. Jonathan Taylor, where's he going to end up?
So he's still on the Colts roster. They said they have no intentions of letting him go, but he is not playing in the preseason. He is not yet. He's still property of the Colts. I don't know why. I mean, he's one of those running backs that has just shown disdain for the way they feel they're being treated by the owners. And that's just the pay rate scale that running backs are getting in the NFL today. And I don't really know when Derrick Henry is getting 13 million, Kamara is getting 15 maybe, and Barkley's getting almost 11. That's all. That's it. I mean, those are the three, right? Those are three running backs that you could say are considered the best in the league, and that's just the best they're going to get. You're not going to get what they get. Josh Jacobs is the best, is one of the best in the leagues as well, but he's not signing his franchise tag either. The Raiders are not going to remove that tag. I don't know how it ends up, but that's Jonathan Taylor world right now. So that's the story.
JC, are those condos or houses, are they safe for you to y'all?
Wow. Well, we'll find out next Thursday, assuming I make it there with this tropical disturbance coming through the Gulf. So
you're very concerned about it.
I am.
All right, real quick before we let you go, Nor says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, Michael Orr's story is falling apart. New wife problems causing family drama. So it took him 19 years to come to these realizations or did it just take him that long to blow through all his money and end up broke? I will find out.
You think it's tragic either way. I mean, feelings have been destroyed, relationships. It's money. Yeah, if you can't handle it, man, it can really do a number on you. And I don't know why a family that's worth reportedly over $100 million would try to screw over a guy they let in their house, off the street. So that's the way I look at it. And I don't know anything more than that, just what everybody else does. But it doesn't make sense to me why the Tuohys would screw over a kid that they brought into their home and basically saved off the street of Memphis. So that's a sad story. You get paid $30 million as a Baltimore Raven offensive lineman and you're not set for life. Yeah, you got some advisory issues there, and some you didn't hire the right folks around you, I guess is the way I look at it.
All right, JC, have a great weekend. Worry about the weather. There's not a damn thing you can do about it, so don't worry about it.
Well, there is. I can either fly out of Orlando or Atlanta or somewhere. I'll make it. I gotta keep my eye on this. I don't think you care because on Wednesday you'll wake up and they'll tell you one thing or another, and it's fine for you.
That's right.
But
it's out of your control.
That's not for me. We're not flying charter. The rest of the free world does not get to fly on the Gator charter. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, have a good weekend, JC. Good luck with your golf game. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll be joined by Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar, Cornerstone Financial Group. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Attention all Gator fans, Meldon Law is giving away a chance to experience the Florida-Georgia game like never before. 2-night stay at the Hilton on the River, dinner at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, 2 premium tickets to the game, and a football signed by Coach Billy Napier, and much more. Go to the Meldon Law Facebook page and look for the VIP experience for 2. Good luck and go Gators!
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, Celebration Point's the flagship restaurant of the Florida Gators, the hottest restaurant in Florida in the heart of Gator Nation. It's Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Check them out at spurriers.com. We're going to head to the Titan MRI Hotline, MRI Hotline, and we're going to be joined by Orlando Sentinel's Edgar Thompson, who is Did Billy Napier tell you to shave your beard? What's going on?
Just trying to get a little more discipline.
And it's probably cooler. Is it hot having a beard?
No, I actually kind of want to grow it back.
Really?
I liked it. I don't know.
Hmm.
I look younger, but older at the same time. So I don't know. I kind of dug the beard. But no, I shaved it off. Just trying to get a little more serious here.
Yeah. All right, real quick, 31M Burr on YouTube asked me, where would I rank Trevor Lawrence among QBs in the National Football League? I think he's pretty damn good. I don't have the list in front of me, but I would say he might be in my top 10.
I think he's top 10.
I'd have to really think about it, but yeah, he would be up there. All right, Edgar, it's been game week. It was started game week a couple of days ago, but the Gators will be playing Thursday night. Anything new for our listeners? Obviously, we know that we've lost a couple of players due to knee injuries, but other than that, the Gators seem pretty healthy going in this game.
We get Billy at 11:45, man, and hopefully he gives us some updates. I mean, Kingsley was banged up. That would be huge if he's available. I don't know if he is or isn't, but it was Zach Goodall reported that he was banged up and he didn't practice. So I don't know where his status is at. You got Xanders has got something going on all camp. I mean, he's an important blocker. I don't know that you want to throw him the ball a whole lot. I mean, he wasn't very dynamic there, but he can block and he's a veteran. And let's see who else. There's one other key guy. Who am I forgetting? Shamar James. We got to see how that knee is. I mean, look, doing drills and all that, but when you're getting a 310-pound guard putting a load on you and you got to bow up, I don't know where he's at there. I think these guys are probably going to be fine. I mean, I don't know about Kingsley. I think Shamar is going to be okay, but a little rusty maybe. They're going to have to be on point, man. I don't care. People are like, oh, Cam Rising going to play and second string guys hurt. They're going to win. Aaron Murray's trying to tell me that on the radio the other day. They'll be favored if that's the case. I guess they got like a defensive front that is stout, man. And we'll find out this could be a slobber knocker. This might not be like a dynamic football game like the one last year. We'll see if that's the case with Rising. And he won't be able to run like he could last year.
I don't think there's any way they play that kid. I really don't.
They probably don't. They're getting Utah at the right time, I'll say that. I'm just saying, they're going to fly 2,000 miles with 4 plus new players, play at 4,000 plus feet. People want to act like that's not a thing. It's like, it is a thing. I lived in New Mexico. I remember when I first got out there as a 20-year-old, pretty fit guy, even walking up the stairs the first couple of days, you're like, hold on, what's going on here?
Well, having said that, because we've talked about the altitude a lot on my program, and I've done stories with some reporters and stuff asking my thoughts on it. And here are my thoughts, Edgar. Every year I played with whatever team I was on, we played the Denver Broncos. Not a damn thing was ever said or done. We just flew in, played the game, and flew back.
Well, Cleveland Browns spent a week in Albuquerque in 1988 when I was just moving out there, and because they were playing in Denver that year because of the altitude. So,
well, that's the only time I've ever heard of that, and that was in 1988. I think the way athletes are conditioned, because you know how calculated and how Billy researches everything. If he thought we needed to be there early, I think we would have been there early. Having said that, we had a text here or a Facebook Live.
Just saying, I lived through it, man. I'm telling you, it's a factor. I'm not. If you're 375-pound Cam Jackson, it should be like 355, or you're, you're that guy. You might 5 less snaps, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
it can matter.
It's probably going to do something. I'm just going by my playing days. It wasn't even mentioned.
Well, I don't think it's going to affect Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah,
he'll get his second win like that. I'm just saying, you get the big uglies and the interior guys and all that. I mean, you need them. You need them fresh by the fourth quarter, because this is a fourth quarter game. You got to expect.
Yeah, I agree with you. The entire game is going to be determined in the front seven on both sides of the ball. That's the key to the Gator football team, is the front seven on defense.
No doubt.
Reggie says, do you think y'all will leave a day early since we have a storm heading our way and should be in Tampa by Tuesday? I don't think they will.
What storm? I got to get
out. I didn't know this until JC let us know that there's a tropical hurricane or something supposed to hit here Tuesday and Wednesday.
Sweet. I'm flying out of Orlando on Wednesday.
Yeah, so JC is too, so he's panicking. Andy asked, Edgar, is this the most anticipated game you have covered since you followed the Gators?
I mean, to open the season? Yeah, probably. Let me think. I mean, McElwain, the Dallas game against Michigan. But, I didn't have high hopes for that team. I think they started Felipe as a redshirt freshman. It wasn't quite as intriguing, no. So, yeah, I think this is the toughest matchup in week one for any team. I think LSU Florida State's the best game, but no team has this big a lift. It's like, I'm telling you, man, you got 53, as you say, new players. I'm not sure if that's why I say 4 dozen plus, because I'm not positive. And you got a new quarterback with a lot to prove. You got a remade offensive line, a remade front seven, a remade back end. The list goes on. I mean, I don't know how many times I got to say, this team has a lot of questions and a lot of answers. And then what I was saying, Mark Long and I did our pod a couple of days ago. Biggest question for me is Billy. I need to see better adjustments. I mean, they were not good on the middle 8. Right? Nick Delatorre was beating that up last year, the middle 8, last 4, first 4. They were terrible coming out of the locker room. Outscored 103-68. That's coaching to me. And we got Austin Armstrong now instead of Patrick Toney here. So I think that's encouraging. But there was a lot of operational things with Billy, timeouts, going for it, this and that. I mean, I think the guy's a good football coach, clearly based on his record. Last year there was a lot of head scratching, man, and it wasn't just Anthony Richardson. So I think we got to see, there's a lot to see and a lot to sort out this season, and they're going to get hit in the mouth in week one, unlike a lot of teams in this country. I mean, this is the year you want to be opening up with Elon at home.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about Miami opening up against Florida back in the day, but Edgar wasn't covering the Gators. It's when he was covering.
What was that, 87 or something?
Yeah. Chris says folks on other podcasts are pointing to you for hyping Mertz up. Look, I think he's a very good player. I don't care what he did at Wisconsin. I like Joel Klatt a lot, and we all know Joel Klatt ranked him as the 10th best quarterback in America this year.
Did he?
He's
Wow.
he's fundamentally sound. He's smart. So anyway, we'll see. I feel like I can look at quarterbacks and I have a good pulse on them. Speaking of quarterbacks, we got a text from George in Bloomington, Indiana. He says,
Okay.
Edgar, I want your thoughts on, and I'm not sure if you watched Anthony Richardson last night, but he looked the same player as he did at Florida.
I didn't watch, honestly. I mean, I'm up to my eyeballs. I got Daytona this weekend. I was right until 11 o'clock last night. So I got it. Yeah. And I got this big Ricky Pearsall piece running Sunday that I got to write like the minute I hang up. I'll tell you a great story, promote this piece for a sec. And then I want to get back to Billy because I want to hear your thoughts because you got a lot more insight there than I. But is Ricky Pearsall, I spoke to his mother. And, everyone always talks to the dad, and I'm trying to get Rick. We'll see if I do. But his mom was wonderful. She gave birth to Ricky Pearsall on the bathroom floor of their house.
Oh, dear Lord.
It's incredible. I got this great little angle that he inherited her toughness and his dad's dependable hands because his dad was a fireman and shows up 5 minutes before and delivers the baby. So she's on the floor and he's like catching the baby. I mean, it's like incredible. And they're really bonded. He's one of 4 kids, but all sisters. He was raised basically by 4 women. And he's a good dude, man. When you see him, he was interacting with a special needs guy the other day over at the facility. He seems like a really good guy. And he's busting his ass. He's really good. Billy Napier the other day said he's bigger than you think, he's faster than you think, and he gets open. So if Mertz can deliver the football, Ricky's going to be available. He could have a huge year if Graham is good. Now, I have a little intel on Graham. Someone called me the other day. He's close to the program. You see it all the time. You're out there a lot. I see you as we're getting shuffled off, after our 15 minutes. And this guy said the receivers love Graham. The ball's coming where it's supposed to come on time, and they really like Graham.
And it's catchable. That's another thing that people leave out, throwing a catchable football.
That was Kyle Trask.
When you have a slant route and the guy is open, just give him something he can catch and run with. Don't throw it. I've said this, and this is not taking a shot at Anthony. This is a lot of other quarterbacks.
Sure.
And you go to these damn combines or these Elite 11. Those different things they put on, and these quarterback guru coaches, they get so enamored with Edgar Thompson slinging this slant in there and it going off the receiver. And the whole saying is, if it hits you in the hands, you should catch it. That's bull crap. It's your job as a quarterback to throw a catchable ball. And just too many people get enamored with this arm strength stuff. But back to your point, he throws a very catchable ball. That's why I keep saying to all my friends and people that I talk to, I don't know if he's going to play like one, but he looks like a Steve Spurrier recruited quarterback.
Well, which gets back to the point. So tell me your thoughts on Billy. Am I being too hard on his first year performance?
No, I agree with some of that. But one of our listeners, let me see if I can find it. I can't remember. Yeah, Scott here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, says, referring to that, he says, but they were limited with AR on offense last year with play calling.
Fair.
Yeah, I do agree with that. But I do agree that there was some I try to put my coaching hat on, and all the years that I sat in these meetings where you have different situations and stuff. And I know the average fan, if you get the ball back with 1:45 on this yard line, sometimes you got to say, okay, well, y'all haven't seen us run a 2-minute drill in practice. I can't risk a turnover here or a sack fumble or, I trust Billy because of who he is. But I do agree that we got to get better in those areas. But I think there's a reason why we weren't good in those areas. If that makes any sense. I don't know if it does.
No, it does. And that's why I want to wait and see. I'm giving this guy all the benefit of the doubt. And believe me, he's going to get it. Did you see this Stuart Mandel thing the other day?
I think you're talking about getting fired or something.
Oh, yeah. 3-9. They're going to week 11. He's gone. Look, it's just beyond absurd. I talked to Scott Strickland yesterday, in fact, for something I'm going to write next week about just his scheduling philosophy kind of putting his team in the crosshairs a little bit inadvertently in week one. This is a program that needs some traction early, and like I said, it's a very heavy lift week one. However, it's a great opportunity. And he said, Billy hasn't shied away from any of it. Billy even said, I think we were in Destin, he spoke to Kevin Brockway and Matt Baker and me, and he said, you got to earn respect in this game, right? That's one of the great things about it. I love that. When he said that, I'm like, all right, man, I like that. I mean, he knows what he's up against and he's embracing it. But, you got to produce. He knows.
Yeah,
but Scott Strickland is going to give him years. This is not like he's got years of runway here.
Yeah. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Also want to give a shout out to one of our new sponsors, F45, over in Celebration Point. You ever done any of those workouts? They told me to come try them. I'm a little old, but I may try them in a couple of weeks.
I'm too old. I'm trying to get healthy here. I don't need to go get hurt in a CrossFit scenario. Those things, that's a young man's game. But you were about to say, Shane, I was talking about the Strickland and the long runway. You were about to say, and I kind of talked over you. He's not going anywhere for years.
No. He's got several years. It doesn't matter what happens. But I think if you look at the front part of the schedule, and again, I'm picking 8 or 9 wins. They beat Utah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could end up being like 6-0 at some point right there. Because I think Utah's a better football team than Tennessee, personally.
The program's more established. Kyle Whittingham's good, man.
He's a very good coach, but I got a question. I know you've been there a long time, but if your backup quarterback is probably going to have to be the starter for week one, why in the hell are you letting him get hit in a practice? I just don't understand that. Very
good point. This rising thing, it's obviously the story of the game. Right? I mean, what's the biggest storyline? What's the biggest storyline for the Gators for you?
Front seven on defense. Nobody will talk about it, but everybody's going to talk about the quarterback. And
sure.
I firmly believe, this is just my personal opinion, we all have our opinions, whether they're right or wrong, who knows. But the national media thinks because you've only won 6 games the last 2 years, and that you lose a player in the 4th pick of the NFL draft, that you're going to be a worse football team. That's, in my opinion, I think that's why those people think that. And I think it's just the opposite. I think the team is so much better everywhere than they were last year. And I think that's why they won a bunch of games. Again, I could be totally wrong, and I will admit it when I'm wrong. I have no problem with that. But my eyes tell me this team is better than last year.
It looks like an SEC defense.
Yeah.
It's a bigger, more physical looking defense, first off, period. I mean, the offensive line looks bigger. You're swapping out Damian George, whether he's good or not. You're picking up 60 pounds on Michael Tarquin on the right side, which is where you really want a mauler. You don't need quite like the athlete you need on the left side there. I think still there's just so many, it's a litany of questions with this team, and we're gonna start getting answers. I mean, it's about time. I mean, we've talked this season to death, and it hasn't even started yet. and I'm ready to see some football played, man.
Yes, no question about it. Yeah, it's right around the corner. Edgar, are you going out to the game?
Yeah, fly out set for Wednesday.
Oh yeah, you already said it. Yeah, you got to.
I haven't missed a Gator game other than COVID. I go to everything on the road.
Well, I thought so. I just couldn't remember.
Yeah.
31 Ember on YouTube says with Rattler, Howell, and Bo Nix. Oh yeah, Mertz was an elite 11 QB with those guys. And you think about Spencer Rattler, Sam Howell, Bo Nix. There was somebody else that I was talking with the other day. They said that when guys, highly recruited guys, make a change to a different school, they play pretty well. Now, will Mertz play well? We'll have to wait and see. But think about how bad Bo Nix was a couple of years ago. I thought he was one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen in the Southeastern Conference. Now he's up for the Heisman Trophy, but he's that change to Oregon's really helped him.
Well, if you go look at that 2019 class, Rattler was number 1 and Mertz was 3, 24/7 Sports composite. There weren't a lot of recognizable names in that class. It's kind of crazy. Didn't turn out to be a very good recruiting, quarterback recruiting class. But I'll say, like you even said, I think a while back, Bo Nix made the most of his new lease on life. Rattler hasn't capitalized that incredibly. He was terrible here last year, but sometimes a change of scenery. He's change offense. We'll see. Ricky Pearsall might be better than anyone he threw to at Wisconsin. He's got 2 really good running backs. Unfortunately, Cam Carroll's injury was a real blow, I think. I thought he gave them a real element. He's a very comfortable pass catcher, and I think that Montrell and Trevor can do that. But man, that guy was really good at that. So yeah, that was a loss, for sure. This Justice Boone thing, again, maybe we talked about this already, but you're seeing the domino effect of that. This team still has razor thin depth in key areas. You get a key injury or two, and then 8-9 becomes you're hoping to win 7. So that's the big thing. This team has to stay healthy, and that's always a really tough thing in football, as you know, because it's a game of injuries.
Yep. Edgar, good stuff as always, buddy. We appreciate your time. Let everybody know your, what is it, OS Gators on
OS
Twitter?
Gators. What's the scene behind you there? What golf hole?
That is Promontory Golf Club in Park City, Utah, that I will be playing Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Trying to make me jealous. We used to have a timeshare in Park City. I've been to Salt Lake City a bunch. Skied Park City tons. But I'm looking forward to getting back out there. I've been there since the 2002 Olympics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I love that city. It's a beautiful area. Fans, listeners that are going are going to really, if they haven't been, it's a gorgeous setting.
Have a great weekend, Edgar. Appreciate it, my man.
Hey, man. You too. Bye.
Silverback Concrete's a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structures with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by. You got football tomorrow, folks. Enjoy it. We will recap everything and get ready for the Utes on Monday. Have a great weekend. Take care.